Hey, welcome to the November edition of the How to Podcast series. What are we doing this month? We're doing an episode every single day for the month of November. Yeah, that's a lot of podcast episodes, Dave. And what I want to do is I want to shine a light on amazing podcasters who are doing great things in podcasting. I want you to meet some of my friends. Now, these are friends that I've met through this podcast. These are friends that I've met by being on their show. These are friends that have been at our meetups. These are friends who I cherish and I think are people that you need to know. The best way to grow podcasting is word of mouth marketing, telling people about people's shows. That's what this is all about for the month of November. It's all word of mouth. You're going to hear from them come on and talk about their podcast. You're going to hear clips from shows. You'll have links to go follow these amazing people. And I want to give you a variety of different amazing podcasters for you to fall in love with. And you found the right spot. This is November. It's all about the listeners. It's all about you. And I want to shine a light on some amazing people. Are you ready? Okay. Let's jump into this because I think you're going to love this. And I'm glad you're here. And what I can't wait for is the day when you and I get to interact. I can't wait for us to meet each other at our meetups, online, through the link in the notes attached to this episode, where you and I can meet each other and I can be there in your corner to support you. I would love to do that. So here's another example of one of my friends at their show, and I want you to fall in love with them just as much as I have. Okay? Welcome to the How to Podcast series. It's November. It's National Podcast Post Month. It's 30 episodes in 30 days, and I want you to meet some of my favorite people in this world called podcasting. It's all about them. It's not about me. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Check out one of my friends. You ready? You ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, so Dave Beckemeyer is an active, amazing member of our meetup community we do on Saturdays. He's been there many times. He's a sage, wise gentleman who understands podcasting, understands supporting you as a podcaster. He's got a great podcast. It's interesting, he does his podcast through Substack. So if you have any questions about doing that, Dave's your guy. Definitely reach out to him. Links in the show notes. But yeah, Dave's got a great show, Outrage Overload. Now, I'm in Canada, so we have our own Canadian outrage here that a lot of people outside of Canada wouldn't understand. But when we look across the river into the US, we see you guys having some pretty interesting conversations and some pretty interesting outrage, and it seems like you're a little overloaded in outrage. So Dave's got the perfect podcast for you. Outrage Overload is a great show that goes head into some of the most divisive topics that tear families apart over Thanksgiving dinner. And if you're looking for a way to lower the temperature in your conversations, in your work relationships, in your partner relationships, with your children, everyone has an opinion, and we need to leave space for each other. And Dave does that in his podcast, Outrage Overload. Great guests, great solo episodes, and a great approach to, again, lowering the temperature. Come on, everybody, at the end of the day, we're still friends, we're still community, still have each other's backs. Even if we don't agree on everything, we're still human beings and we can find a place for each other. Dave's podcast is a great example of that. You got to go check it out. You got to go give a like, subscribe, and follow, and share. Especially if you're in the US. Oh, this is the perfect podcast for you. You got like an election coming up, right? So you need this show. So please go check out Outrage Overload. Dave Beckemeyer, great guy, super nice human being. Great show. And again, active member of our podcast meetup groups on Saturdays. If you want to come meet Dave in person, just come to our meetups. You can talk to him right there. And I know he'd love to hear from you. That would mean the world to him, to hear from you as a listener. And now that you found his show here, go give them a like and a follow. Give them some support. Great show. Again, Outrage Overload, Dave Beckemeyer, here on the How to Podcast series, shining a light on great podcasters in the month of November. Here's Dave's show. You ready? Oh, here you go. If you got some outrage, here's the podcast for you. Here it is.
And now, on with the show.
Once we labeled it as outrage, it was this light that went on.
Are you on social media? Do you watch news on TV, online? Do you get political campaign emails, texts? Then you've seen it. Outrage porn. Messaging designed to evoke outrage. I'm David Beckemeyer, and this is Outrage Overload, a podcast about our unhealthy relationship with the outrage industry.
It's not just that they're different and you dislike them, you think they're bad.
There's not a magic wand that we're going to be able to wave.
I've obviously disconnected from people, family members, friends.
But it's also about hope.
We have to be optimistic.
There are all these areas where we're really not so divided, and that's where we need to turn our attention.
Maybe you should listen to me once in a while.
Coming soon to wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to Outrage Overload, a science podcast about outrage and lowering the temperature. This is a bonus episode about crossing party lines.
It depends on the context. It depends on the relationship. It depends on the subject matter. Some subjects are just too triggering for us. We need to do some self-work before we can get there. Some relationships are too valuable to us where we step in fearful.
Let's face it, political conversations these days often go in circles. Sometimes you barely get a word in before things escalate, and by the end, everyone's more frustrated than when they started. We all want to be heard and to understand where others are coming from. But with so much anger and division, it's getting harder and harder to have productive conversations across the political spectrum. And that's where our guest today comes in.
I started Crossing Party Lines back in 2016 because of my relationship with my cousin, whose votes canceled out mine, and also noticing how many friends and family members were starting to cut ties with people they knew simply because of politics. And I just felt that was wrong. And I kept telling them, no, I refuse to accept that half of America is my enemy, and I wanted to do something about it.
That's Lisa Swallow, founder of Crossing Party Lines. Crossing Party Lines has created a space where people with opposing views can actually talk to each other and maybe even learn something new.
So Crossing Party Lines is a nonprofit. We're national. We teach people the skills and concepts that they need to know in order to be confident that they can talk to their political other, whoever that might be. And we create opportunities for them to practice those skills in real life conversations, weekly, virtually, and with people from all over the country, sometimes all over the world.
Now, Lisa will be the first to tell you they don't have all the answers. No one does when it comes to navigating these tricky conversations. But in my experience, she gets it right as close to all the time as anyone, bringing a unique approach that fosters genuine understanding and respect, even in the face of strong disagreement. So if you're tired of the yelling matches and want to see how conversations across the political divide can happen, then you don't want to miss this interview. Stick around as we chat with Lisa Swallow about how to bridge the political divide one conversation at a time.
So there you go, Outrage Overload, Dave Beckemeyer. Great podcaster, great podcast. A very good shareable podcast for the temperature in the world today. We're not talking about global warming, we're talking about just the opinions that are circulating around the world and the sides that have been drawn between, well, I believe this and I believe this, I vote for this person, I vote for that person. A perfectly timed podcast and a great approach to how Dave does it. I love how he's very open to feedback and thoughts from different people and how he chases the topic and provides a great outlook to reduce the temperature. People, let's turn it down a couple notches and help each other and be more civil with each other. Could we do that? Right. So Dave's had a great podcast. Make sure you follow him through the notes in the show notes. Go over and listen to the show. Share it with someone. And then maybe your next Thanksgiving family function, birthday, anniversary, work event will be just a little less heated because you've turned down the temperature with Dave's podcast, Outrage Overload. And again, like I said, if you want to meet Dave, come to our meetups. He's there pretty regularly on a Saturday morning. A great guy to talk to, and I know he would love to hear from you. So if you have an idea for his show, a guest idea for his show, you want to just give him a lot of love and reach out to him through the links in the notes in the podcast, just scroll up on your phone. You'll see all the links to Dave, and go check out his show. Go follow, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Do all those things, you know, the things we ask of podcasters and the things we want people to do for our own show. Do that for Dave. And tell somebody. Word of mouth marketing, everybody. Tell somebody. It's what I'm doing right here on this show. I want you to know about Dave's podcast. Word of mouth marketing is the best way to get your podcast in front of other ears. So do it. Do this for other people, everyone. Help somebody by sharing a show with somebody you love, one at a time. That's how we grow. That's how our podcasts get bigger. And we reach more people and help more people by you simply doing what I'm doing right now and sharing your favorite podcast with your favorite people. Do it one at a time, and we'll bring more people into podcasting. Thanks for listening. More episodes coming up. It's our November NaPodPoMo National Podcast Post Month. 30 episodes, 30 days. And you're going to learn about some great new podcasts that you can add to your queue so you're ready to listen to great people in the podcasting space. I'm only giving you the best. Well, I have more friends than I have 30 days, but I'm giving you my top 30 right now, in this moment. Some of the podcasts that I'm listening to currently that I wanted you to fall in love with. Here's Dave's show. Thanks for being here. And more episodes coming soon. Take care. Here we go. So I love being a podcaster. I love meeting these great people. And I love the fact that you press play on this episode and that you're still here. That tells me that there's something here for you. And if you're like, Dave, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this community, and I want to spend some time with you. There's a link in the show notes. It's just for you. You and I can get together and chat about your podcast, answer any questions you have. And the most important thing is we get to meet each other. So if you feel like you've been podcasting alone, you should never podcast alone. You should podcast in a group. We have a community just for you. And I, Dave, would love to be part of your community. HowToPodcast.ca is where you can find me, find our amazing community, and meet the people you've met here today on this episode. So, what are you waiting for? Stop podcasting by yourself. Reach out. I would love to talk to you. Happy National Podcast Post Month. We'll talk soon. Thank you for being part of the community, and thank you for listening to this episode. HowToPodcast.ca. Take care.